Slim Jim.
Snap it to a Slim Jim.
Snap it to a Slim Jim. Snap it to spice. This episode of the show is brought to you not by Slim Jim.
Not by Slim Jim. We don't have the rights to that
yet. They don't have the rights to us.
But
We're going somewhere with that.
But he hated to be sober. It made him conscious of the people around him. F. Scott Fitzgerald.
No. What's that?
F. Scott Fitzgerald.
F. Scott Fitzgerald.
But he hated to be sober. It made him conscious of the people around him.
Death of a Salesman?
Their greedy ambition, hope more sordid than despair.
The Great Gatsby?
I think it might be from The Great Gatsby. I'm not exactly sure.
Is that F. Scott Fitzgerald? That's not F. Scott, is it?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I think that's the only one he wrote, right? They're the only popular one. Is the Great American Novel.
I honestly,
yeah,
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. I have to look it up.
Yeah,
I did
but
like
there's a quote
Gatsby,
about
though.
that, about fucking hating to be sober, and that's how it relates, because that's how I feel. I've been drinking. I'm not drunk. I've just been drinking.
Yeah. What the camera can't see is the 19 Bush's beer cans that are offside.
Oh, that's just to keep the buzz going. I fucking clean. I polished off a bottle of triple sec a second ago, just because I had it. That was all I had, and I didn't feel like going to the liquor store.
It's fair.
It's like it's made for mixing. It's super sweet.
I was
and
gonna
I
say,
drank
what does it taste
triple
like on its
sec.
own? I've
It's
never
like,
had it on its own.
It's like fucking orange syrup. It's really not good.
It's just
but
corn. It's actually not even orange. It's just corn syrup.
yeah,
High
but it's
high fructose
30% though. So
You're letting your health go, man.
I'm not in a good way right now, brother. I'm letting myself go a little bit. It's part of the process.
It's healing. What are you in denial?
I'm in
Grief.
I'm in grief right now.
Grief.
I'm in the grief
What's
stage.
the first step?
Denial?
Is it denial?
I believe it's denial. No. Fourth is bargaining.
Is it bargaining?
Yeah. Goes denial, anger, depression, bargaining, and acceptance.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I
guess I would be in the depression stage then, right now. The denial stage is long gone. When is bargaining for?
Yeah.
I haven't gotten to that yet, which is good because my pride
I think in
is
this,
still
I think
intact right
relative
now.
to this situation, the bargaining is where you don't want to be. Like
No, because then you're gonna be like, that's the thing, man.
I
Like,
don't
no,
know. To me, the
the
bargaining
least
stage-
attractive thing to a woman is being fucking needy. And
that's
like,
what I'm saying. Like,
yeah, so that you don't want to.
You're talking outsider window with the boombox.
Yeah.
Bring the Noise by Public Enemy.
Yeah, so I hope I skip past the bargaining stage. I don't ever want to be like giving ultimatums, like, please, like, be with me. No.
If you don't, I'm gonna take my Ram and drive right off the bridge.
No, I'm gonna kill myself. I'm just not gonna tell her that I'm going to kill myself, or even mention her in the suicide note. Like, that's my last, like, fucking stick it to you. Because then you're not even even in my suicide note. No, it's just part of the process, man. I've been through breakups before. I get really drunk for a while, then I get in decent shape, go back to dating, and then it happens all over again. It's the cycle. It's the cycle that begins anew.
Never-ending story.
Never-ending story. But yeah, she.
I shouldn't make fun.
I think we talked about it on a couple streams ago. I moved her to another city.
Correct.
Like, I helped her move.
Correct.
And we kind of agreed for a while that we weren't doing the long distance thing. But it was still there. We were still talking every day. It was finally within the past couple of days, like, confirmed that we were separating. So now it's real. I think that was probably the denial stage. Was when I kind of thought that we still were kind of a thing for a little bit. But now, it is definitely.
There's bigger and better out there for you.
I disagree. I think she's the best thing in the world.
That's the
but
best.
no, I think so. But it was because it was definitely more her decision.
Oh.
Well, it was,
Yeah.
she's like, I don't want a relationship right now, which is just shorthand for I don't want a relationship with you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because, like, if you met the right person, like, there's no excuse as to why you wouldn't.
That is
like,
generally true.
try to pursue it.
Yeah.
I mean, I take her at her word. She says she's not ready because, she had just gotten out of one a little while ago. It's a long thing. I definitely don't want to, like, bore the audience with
cliche.
my fucking, with the interpersonal details. Just know that I'm fucking slammered right now.
Well,
Which is good that we're not talking about like
if you want to
politics.
accelerate the process, we could roast her. No,
No,
I'm just kidding.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, we're not gonna
I have nothing but the highest regard for she's the best. But shit. It's kind of like it reminds me of Captain Picard from Star Trek: Next Generation, where he's like, sometimes you can make no mistakes and still fail. Like that's just life.
Yeah. That's what's that? Kobayashi Maru.
Did he say that? He obviously had to have gotten that from fucking Captain Picard because he said that shit first.
Who's the superior captain?
Picard. Picard is the best captain. Picard is everything that I like aspire to be. Like he's one of my favorite fictional characters.
I could never get into Star Trek for some reason.
Yeah, it's
an outlier for me. It was just never right. I could never dig it. But you know what sci-fi show I do really like? The Orville.
I didn't watch the Orville, but I heard more positive things about the Orville than I did about the new Star Trek.
Yeah. I think in an interview, somebody was talking to Seth MacFarlane. They're like, your show is pretty badly rated. How does that make you feel? And he's like, well, it means I don't trust he said something like, I don't trust the reviewers because my show's more popular than Star Trek.
Yeah. Well, the new Star Trek, because I'm not like a huge Star Trek fan. I didn't watch the original series. I watched The Next Generation, Voyager and Enterprise, and a little bit of Deep Space Nine. I do like Star Trek, but like when I found out there was new, like was it Star Trek Discovery? I think. Yeah, because I remember
I can't even tell you the
names. The first joke was the acronym was STD.
You know who the best Star Trek captain is? Chris Pine's, whatever he played.
He played Kirk. Captain Kirk.
Yeah.
But big disagree on that. It's absolutely Picard.
Okay,
followed probably by Cisco, who is Deep Space. No, Deep Space Nine. And then Janeway from Archer from Enterprise was good too. They were all pretty good. I think Kirk might have actually been the weakest. And I'm sure that's controversial to say. But.
I think that not really. I mean, it's the best 1967 could offer.
Yeah. No. Star Trek was still a pioneer in its genre.
It's the beginning. What came out first? Was it Star Trek or New Hope? It was Star Trek, right?
Star Trek, absolutely.
Yeah, I thought so.
Honestly, I think 2001: A Space Odyssey was also predates Star Wars.
I don't even know when that came out. I should.
I think it came out
78. No, 71.
78 sounds more like Star Wars.
Yeah.
I think that 2001: A Space Odyssey was like mid 70s, maybe early 70s.
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely have to check up on that, but I'm pretty sure that Star Wars was like the latest of the
of all the sci-fi stuffs.
Of all like the like big sci-fi like things that sort of changed the genre. Yeah. I think Star Trek definitely kind of laid the foundations for that.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean,
maybe I don't know what I'm talking about anymore.
Yeah, we're just kind of winging it today. So we, if any of our regular viewers are out there, we typically dedicate Saturdays to our Gauntlet 4-player co-op stream, but 2 of our members are currently serving the country. So
so they're at drill right now
and drilling and doing their thing. So we can't do that.
We might do it tomorrow.
Yeah, there might be a follow-up with that, depending on if things come together or not. Little fun one, we'll go ahead and plug. We'll in a podcast coming soon within the next couple days. We will have our first guest.
Oh yeah. A friend of mine from back in the day. She's a valedictorian at my high school, and she did a lot of studying abroad and is currently working at the battered women's shelter here locally.
Okay.
So I think a lot of what we're going to talk about is sort of like not very light topics, but kind of raising awareness maybe about like domestic violence and sexual assault, things like that. So tune in for a real fun episode.
Yeah. So that'll be fun. We have several now that we're really starting to get our feet in the water. We have a lot of new projects coming in on our YouTube channel, which you can find by searching for Sour Source on YouTube, because we don't qualify for a custom URL yet.
Yeah.
That's coming, though. Subscribe.
Eventually. I think how many do we need to get there?
To do the custom URL, I think it's like 1,000. I think.
Coming someday.
Yeah,
maybe.
Someday soon. We're getting there. We're getting a lot of hits on there, shockingly.
We're getting a decent amount of views. Yeah. It's weird. It almost seems like opposite. Whatever gets more views on Twitch gets like next to nothing on YouTube, and then whatever gets nothing on Twitch gets like a lot on YouTube for some reason.
I think it's our minor fan base that is. If they miss us live, they go catch up on them there, which is fair because YouTube is just better optimized and everything plays better off of there.
Well, it's not disparage Twitch. I feel like that's the one we're growing the
Twitch
fastest.
Is obviously the better live stream platform. I'm just saying
everything has a little bit of something to offer.
Yeah. That's what I'm just saying. Like we also stream these live on YouTube too, generally speaking, but I find that the Twitch's platform is better for streaming, but YouTube is a better archiver of past footage.
Yeah.
And it loads faster. At least on my phone.
It's definitely it's definitely better for like keeping past streams on, especially because Twitch has like the 15-day like limit before it gets. So like anytime you want to go to see like older content, YouTube is this place to go. I think Twitch is where we're building an audience a little bit faster, and YouTube is sort of the algorithm's it's kind of hard for newer content creators to get in. They kind of have their mainstays that are.
See, I think this is a good time too for that because with it shrinking in the way that it is, I think eventually they're going to reverse a lot of their decisions and help promote new content and stuff.
Yeah,
that's just me.
Well,
that's my wild prediction.
As they get bigger as a company, they're starting to forget like how YouTube started, which was like, a bunch of like dumb kids with cameras, like trying to make sketch comedy and stuff like that. And now they're becoming like a very corporate media entity, pushing for like Fox News and like CBS
a big part of that too. They even kind of talked about that too in like the last creator letter that we got, which
we got a creator letter.
Hey, you didn't see it? It was in the email.
It's
just like a newsletter where they're like the CEO was like, we recognize that small accounts are like what build our platform, but like we also have to do what the advertisers ask and make sure that we have a whatever for all, which is fine, it's whatever, but the idea was that like we acknowledge that we're paying these bigger companies more that can do this stuff full time, because that was part of the algorithm issue before, was that it was skewed to based on upload time. Was like because these big companies are used to working 24 hours a day, they can keep pumping.
There was a lot of, there's been a lot of different ways that they've monetized it. It used to be by view, but then when they switched to by actual view times, it ended up hurting a lot of animators because they would spend, lots of hours actually like making an animation that might have only been like 3 or 4 minutes, versus somebody who was doing like a let's play of Minecraft for like 4 hours, and they were getting paid a lot more for essentially less work. So, there's still, I guess, in terms of like human history, the internet is still a new form of media.
Yeah, there will be new things that'll come.
There's hiccups and things that are coming.
But what I originally was getting into, though, we have a new video series we're going to launch. Since Sour Source is also part gaming channel, we have a playthrough of me and Lemon playing through Turok Dinosaur Hunter, which we're cutting editing right now.
I played a lot of Turok as a boy.
It's been a ride.
Yeah,
we had a long recording session, and our frustrations became very, very real.
Yeah,
they translated.
Dude,
we even talked about how video games cause violence in the series.
They cause to
how it leads to drinking.
They cause to immediate violent reaction when you keep fucking up and you're just like, God damn it. I'm starting to realize because
We did bust into the alcohol. It got super frustrating, so we did dig in.
Because I've played a lot of games, but I've typically stayed to like RPGs, more tactical kinds of games where it's not just reaction times.
We gotta get.
I never got into like shooters or platformers super hardcore.
Yeah, that's fair.
So then when I go back and play those, because I used to play them as a kid, but I ended up like becoming more story focused as time went on. Mm-hmm. So
I do appreciate
went away to more like story based games. But then when you go back and play those platformers, and you're just like, dude, I'm not good at this.
One of my favorite games from long ago, talking story based, Final Fantasy VIII, just got re-released finally. It's remaster. I've been thinking about getting it because I have a little I don't know, not PTSD, but I have a little bad memory because I borrowed a copy from my friend years ago, and I got all the way through disc 1. Well, almost. But then he had a scratch on his disc that was unrepairable, and it would always freeze during the cutscene.
Have you heard of the game Legend of the Dragoon?
Yes, that's a good one.
It was a 5-disc game?
Yes.
Oh man, I played the hell out of that.
That's a good one.
Played that. Suikoden.
Legend of Legaia?
Legend of Legaia. I played the fuck out of Legend of Legaia.
That's a really good one.
Yeah. Nah, man. PlayStation 1 had a lot of really good RPGs.
They had to do something different, Nintendo was really working the platformers and action games, so they went the way of RPG.
Dreamcast, though, man. I got a lot of fond memories of Dreamcast back in the day.
Real quick, do you remember Quest 64?
I don't.
Oh, really?
No.
I played it. I wouldn't mind giving it a go through later on because it definitely has its quirkiness. 64, but I hear it doesn't hold up at all.
64 had a lot of good Star Wars games, actually.
Was
it Rogue Squadron?
I played that. I golded that game. I got every mission gold.
And then GoldenEye, as far as pioneering first-person shooters.
And you know what? Do you ever play Perfect Dark?
No.
I fucking love Perfect Dark.
Wait. I played Perfect Dark Zero on Xbox. Okay. I didn't play.
That one wasn't that great.
Yeah, no, it was not good.
It was objectively terrible. Perfect Dark on the 64 was number one. It's underrated because it came out so late in the cycle, and it required the expansion pack, which was one of the dumbest things Nintendo's ever done.
Mm-hmm.
I had to beg my mom to get me an expansion pack. Mind you, I was only like 9 when the game came out, something like that. 9, 10. I don't even remember.
Was it a first person shooter?
Yeah, it was. It was good.
What do you credit for the sort of popularization of first person shooters? Because I mean, obviously Halo is, I think, where they really kind of blew up.
The mainstreaming of them.
Halo.
I would probably give it, if I didn't give it to Halo, I would give it to the very first Call of Duty on PC.
Okay.
Because that game was really popular.
I was going to say maybe like Doom.
I mean, yeah, if you want to go like what started it, Doom and Wolfenstein for sure.
Unreal Tournament.
Yeah, Unreal, Quake,
and I think Quake,
the arena shooters is what
GoldenEye definitely was a big one.
big, really big, top of the charts the whole way through the 64
Halo though
cycle.
Kind of definitely revolutionized
Halo was the
it.
one that said like anybody could be playing this right now. Like you don't have to be like a specific kind of person. Like anybody could sit down and hop in Halo because the controls were. I mean, realistically, in my opinion, the controls were intuitive.
Yeah,
like they they became the standard for first person shooters too. Like they were like, I mean, like if you play the original Medal of Honor on the PlayStation 1, like the shoot is the X button on the front.
Yeah. And
it's like, okay, why aren't you using one of the trigger buttons or the shoulder pads, I should say. They didn't have triggers, but
yeah.
So yeah, Halo really standardized the FPS.
What are some kind of underrated games that you have from your childhood that kind of didn't get the love and attention that you think they deserved?
All of them? No, I'm kidding. Oh man, there was a
Toomba.
Toomba is a big one. That game's rare as hell too.
Yeah.
Or is it Toomba 2?
I used to play the fuck out of Toomba.
I had a friend who had that Toomba 2, and he had to sell it because he went poor, and he was complaining to me about it a lot. He's like, I had to sell Toomba, and I was like, why'd you sell it? You should just borrow $20. You've been all right. But no. Well, let's see here. We want to go by console. Underrated games. There's an RPG on the Sega Genesis there's 2 actually. that I don't think they're always in the compilations, but I don't think people really remember them that well. But actually, 3. Phantasy Star 4.
Love that. Love some Phantasy Star
that game
for sure.
was so good. It's the best. I mean, a lot of people like the 3rd one because they're like it has multiple endings and all this jazz. But like 4 is like better just all around.
Mm-hmm.
Better system, better story in my opinion. Then there was Beyond Oasis, which is really fun. That's a really good one. I really like that game a lot.
Okay.
And then Landstalker, which was kind of the Genesis's Legend of Zelda.
Okay.
Because the main character is you're basically an elf and you have a sword and you're green.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that.
Yeah.
So that's definitely probably
it
qualifies
also,
as a underrated game.
It also makes its way to all the compilation games. Like, and I may do a playthrough of it on either the YouTube channel or the Twitch account because I do have it on the Sega Ultimate Remaster for the PlayStation 4.
Okay.
So I do have it.
Nice.
I like a lot of the Genesis games. That was my first real console that I own.
Mm-hmm.
Other consoles, there's one game that I really like on the Dreamcast called Banjo or Banjio or something like that. Bangaio.
I don't think I remember that one either.
It's apparently also a rare game, and I still have it. That game is fun as fuck. Actually, I should actually do a stream for that.
Yeah.
Or play through it on YouTube. One of the two, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
But it's really fun because you're like a little mech robot, and it's a 2D game, but you fly around and blow stuff up, and you have different options. But like the little gimmick of the game is when you do your super move or whatever, the more technical danger you're in, the more powerful it is.
Yeah.
So like you get rewarded to take big risks. So like if you let like all the enemy shots come in on you, and wait till the very last second before you blow up, like you'll unleash like a crazy move.
Okay.
It's really cool.
For sure.
Really fun
did you
game.
ever play Jade Cocoon on the PlayStation 1?
No, I know the name, but I don't remember the game at all.
I fucking love that game.
I think I recognize
the art was actually drawn by somebody from Studio Ghibli.
Okay.
So it looks a lot like their movies.
Yeah.
So all the character portraits kind of look like that. The music was fucking great. And the concept of the game was kind of like Pokemon-ish. You captured different monsters,
Sure.
but you could fuse them together, and there was an infinite amount of combinations that you could make. It was really complex for a game. The game itself, however, was only like 8 hours long. Like you could beat it. You could beat it in 2 days, you know, or you could beat it in a day if you really fucking push yourself. But man, I fucking loved that game so much growing up. Jade Cocoon is one. Mystical Ninja.
Oh, I love Mystical Ninja.
Mystical Ninja is another kind of underrated,
I want,
underrated classic.
for our co-op days, I want to get a copy of the sequel that nobody knows about.
Is it a co-op?
It is. You want to talk about unrated gems? Goemon's Great Adventure.
Okay.
Like that game sells. Like if I was rich, I would get a copy, but it's like $300 a pop.
Okay.
100% underrated.
Suikoden on the PlayStation.
Suikoden? Yeah.
Because man, there were so many characters. There was like 100
Dude,
plus.
108 lucky stars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a pretty complicated, pretty ambitious game for a PlayStation 1.
Suikoden, I think it's 3 is one I played through on the PlayStation 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that one too. I still haven't beat it and I want to.
What else?
I should get that game too. That's a long game though.
Jade Empire.
I like Jade Empire.
I fucking loved Jade Empire. Honestly, it was one of the. I think at a certain time, it was the only game that IGN ever gave a 10 out of 10.
Really?
They've since retroactively changed it to 9.9.
Oh, they can.
But it was originally 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
And it sucks because
What's the reason?
there was never given. They did nothing but change the score. They didn't change anything else. Probably just that they didn't want to like
the reviewer.
Essentially say that any game was perfect.
The reviewer was probably mad. No, that game is legitimately good. It's got a good story.
It's great.
The play is good. The action's good. I was a big martial arts nerd.
Yeah.
When that game came out, so like, this was like, yeah, I can do my sweet kung fu moves in video form.
No, Jade Empire was great. And there was never a sequel, which is always kind of disheartening to me.
Well, you know,
BioWare
doesn't make games anymore.
Yeah.
So.
That BioWare is long gone.
Yeah,
so the idea of a Jade Empire sequel is just never going to happen. I was I think like 13, maybe 12 when it came out. And there's a lesbian love option. I played the fuck out of that for sure. Back in the old days, there was, not everybody had their own computer. There was like a family computer in the living room, so like you couldn't really.
You had to get your fix.
You couldn't easily look at porn back in the day.
To be so young.
So it was
nowadays. All you got to do is
I would play The Sims.
I was about to bring up the subject. Would you make them woohoo?
I would absolutely. I would make 2 really hot girls and make them woohoo. Get their whole relationship. I'd make them get married. It was the whole story behind it is what got me up. That and then watching Girls Gone Wild commercials at like 2 a.m.
I remember those.
I still remember the jingle.
I would.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah.
I think Joe Rogan was on like one of the advertisements once.
Dude, they were like digging deep, like they like would like get like reality TV stars. Like I remember who's the guy that did booty 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 rocking everywhere? Who's that guy?
Mike Jones, Paul Wall.
No.
I think it's Paul Wall.
DJ something, no?
No, that's
The song, yeah.
Yeah, that song is
Paul Wall?
Paul Wall, I'm pretty sure.
I don't know. I don't remember. They had that guy on one of them. They had like a bunch of dudes from the Real World Road Rules and stuff like that. Like they always they're like, who could we pay $50 to stand and pretend like they.
Man, I wonder if Girls Gone Wild ever transitioned to digital.
No, they got sued hardcore by the state of Florida.
For what?
For not checking people's IDs.
Just selling them to everybody.
Yeah, and they got hit hardcore.
It's always been kind of funny to me how like taboo sex is in the U.S. because like rated R movies are on TV all the time,
right?
And they never censored like the violence. Like you'd have blood and gore and murder and all that stuff. The only thing that ever gets censored when it gets moved to TV is like nudity and sex,
right?
Or language. And it's almost just like, why is killing like more morally acceptable than fucking? Like, I don't understand. Or like more morally acceptable than just saying the word fuck. Like you can kill somebody, but like don't you dare curse.
Have you? Well, here's something interesting that I've read, and I haven't really confirmed it too much, but like I've heard that in like other languages that is not English, like there's not curse words. Like they have like rude words, but they're not like, they don't treat them like what we treat a curse word or swear word.
I don't think there's plenty of like Spanish words that I know are considered like curse words that you're not like. It's not cool to say in front of your mom.
Yeah, but they're like curse words to us, where like everybody like stops. Like, did you hear what that man just said? He just said butt. No, but like it's just different. Like culture wise, it's just different. I don't know how to explain it very well.
I haven't heard that. No. But yeah, I don't understand why. Language is a funny thing. Like a word is not particularly bad in and of itself. Yeah. It definitely context matters. You know what I'm saying?
I like in the league with Rafi in the bar, and he's like, words are just sounds that we make with our stupid mouth holes. This is how men get shit done. And he like pulls out a knife.
Well, I just think like if I like stub my toe and I go, shit, like that's not really offensive. Like I'm not directing that at anybody, right? But if I like look at somebody, I'm like, you're a fucking or I already cursed. But if I go like, you're a poop head, like that's an actual that's an actual insult.
I think that's more offensive.
Yeah, that's
like,
an actual.
I'd rather you call me something else.
Yeah, that's an insult that you're levying on somebody. You're directing it. That's actual hurtful words. But the word poop is not like censored or like taboo. I feel like making like an exclamation like, I stubbed my toe, shit. Like I don't feel like that's any more offensive than actually insulting. Like you're fucking, you're stupid. Like that's an actual insult.
A situation I found myself in at work the other day. I was in a store doing my thing, and it was pretty slow. So the cashier asked me, they're like, "Hey, I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick. Just tell people I'll be out in a minute." And I go, "Okay, I'll tell them you're pooping." And then they like stopped in like 180, and they're like, "Why would you tell them that?" I was like, "'Cause it's funny." Like, why don't you just say like I'm taking a dump or something? I was like, well, that's not funny. That's literally what you're doing. When I
feel
say
like
you're pooping, it's comedic.
You think that pooping is so much funnier than it is. You think poop is hilarious. Like the word
No,
poop
it
is hilarious.
I could find a scientific paper.
I
I wrote it on the whiteboard in our office
humor
earlier
is
today.
subjective. I don't find the word poop inherently all that funny.
You're laughing pretty hard.
It's one of the things that's like so like
Everything
juvenile
comes
that
down
it's
to poop.
I
All
love
across the
Scrubs.
nation,
So
we trust in defecation. just
yeah,
watched
that
that
was a
episode.
hard one because I really don't like musicals, but I love Scrubs, so I kind of powered through watching that. It was fine. Guy Love is
I
great.
got that in my Apple library.
Guy Love,
That's a good one.
There's no
Um,
need to clarify.
Oh no.
We get warm each day. I don't remember the words. Just let it grow more and more each day.
Yeah.
It's like
like,
I
yeah.
married my best friend.
But in a totally manly way.
Let's go. It's Guy Love. Don't compromise
The
feelings of some other guys. Holding up your heart into the sky.
I'll be there to share all the lows.
I'll be there to share the highs.
You didn't do that. Yeah, I like that episode a lot. Musicals are an interesting one. I typically don't like them because more often than not, I find the songwriting to be horrendous.
Yeah,
And I really shouldn't say anything because it's more song than I've ever written, and I
Yeah.
claim to be a musician.
So,
but-
and it's weird though because there's stuff like Mamma Mia,
Mamma Mia,
which
here
is
I go again.
which is just a movie of ABBA songs, where not necessarily like ABBA didn't write that album
Yeah.
with the intention of making it into a musical.
Right.
So a lot of times the musical numbers just seem like they were kind of thrown in there to
Mhm.
get an ABBA song. So I don't like that. Definitely,
Mm.
I feel like that's pretty lazy. And then there was Rock of Love, I think,
Rock
or
of-
no, that's
Rock
the show.
of Ages.
Rock of Ages, where it was again, it was just popular
Yeah.
rock songs thrown into like a loosely tied narrative. So I don't like that. Same as Moulin Rouge.
Yeah.
So I don't like taking like pre-made songs and then just kind of like loosely tying a
Yeah.
narrative to them.
Yeah, they have to be well done.
And then I also don't really like original songs in a music. I just don't like musicals very much.
I love musicals.
I tried
No, I'm
watching
I know I just
okay,
said I hate musicals.
I like musicals, like Disney animated musicals for some reason. Like those are kind of near and dear to my
I think
heart.
it's because it's easier to take it more serious than like 'cause
From
with,
in
like,
cartoon form.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
like when you're like sitting there, you're like in a subway, and you're like, if a musical broke out in here, you know somebody would interrupt it. Like,
yeah,
it's-
or like a flash mob, like
Yeah.
when that was like a thing. I always thought that was corny,
yeah, that one's pretty bad because they always did like weird things too. Like,
but I was always just,
The chairs.
yeah,
but I was always kind of just like, okay,
there's one musical. There's a couple that I like. I like Chicago.
haven't seen it.
Blasphemy.
Yeah,
We're gonna.
Any musical, Chicago's definitely
It's
worth
okay.
Yeah.
it.
I haven't
It has a good story.
I haven't seen Chicago. I tried watching La La Land. Because what I try to do, I try to watch every movie that gets nominated for Best Picture.
Dude, most of the movies that get nominated are horrible.
Well, no. I
find.
think a lot of them are really good. Some of them are not. La
Godzilla
La
King of the
Land.
Monsters doesn't win this year. I'm coming for somebody.
Get out of
I'm
here.
just fucking around.
But I tried watching
Yeah, best CG.
La La Land,
Yeah.
and I made it maybe 20 minutes through,
I haven't
and I
seen
just like I couldn't do it. I really have this just huge bias against musicals, and that's not to say anything about like La La Land being a bad movie. I'm sure it's good. A lot of people whose opinions I respect said it was really good.
Yeah.
It just definitely wasn't for me. And art is subjective, which is always kind of a weird thing that we give out like objective awards to something that's so like, I'm sure there's like something like that's like Transformers that's like dumb and it's bad.
especially
But
majority
like
Michael
but
Bay.
it makes a whole bunch of money because a lot of people saw it. Who are you to say as like an art critic like this is garbage when it resonates with more people
Yeah.
than like an art house film does. So it's always weird to sort of judge art like at all.
I've always wondered.
But like Transformers is bad.
yeah,
Like
they
and
really
something like
are.
Moonlight, which like not a lot of people have seen, is
Moonlight.
good.
Which one is Moonlight?
Moonlight's about the young gay black fellow.
Okay,
But
excuse me.
yeah, so I'm not saying that La La Land is a bad movie. I'm just saying I don't like it at all. Grease is fucking harsh. I like Grease just because I watched
It's
it
like
as a
the
kid.
original, yeah. You can't
So
beat it.
I like Grease.
It's like that one like band from the '60s that nobody will talk shit on. It's
Yeah, I don't.
like the original.
Yeah, I don't really. I can't think of too many musicals I like outside of like Disney animated musicals.
There was one that I watched, and I can't decide if it was like stuck with me because I like it or stuck with me because I'm hypercritical of it. But it's not really well known. But do you remember Repo, the Genetic Opera?
Not at all.
It was straight to DVD, so I wouldn't expect it. But it did get kind of big a little bit when it released. Not it was kind of meh. I don't know.
So why would you bring up a straight to fucking DVD movie and be like, yeah, I mean, like probably not that good, nor did it create much of a cultural impact. So
Have you heard? Yeah,
Which is-
I
it's
used
funny.
to work at a movie store, so like I used to watch all the shitty B movies that would come in.
you
You can always tell if a movie's like a bad B movie
Mhm.
if you turn it over and look at the back of the credits. Like if it's just like a
Uh-huh.
picture with some words,
or
like there's no typography work done.
or when they'll have like a quote where it's like 5 stars, but it won't be attributed to anybody. It'd be like, who said that? Is there some guy down the street said that once? No. What was I gonna say though? I don't remember. I'm drunk.
We didn't make you watch Chicago.
yeah,
How-
we'll have to watch.
I'm open. I'm open to it. John C. Reilly.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh
Yes.
my God, he is amazing. He's an amazing singer. And he's
Yeah. No. Okay. Walk Hard.
That movie was. I
that
didn't
is.
like that movie.
If you would quantify that as a musical, which I think it counts.
You're I don't know.
I fucking love that movie.
I didn't
John
like
C.
that
Reilly
movie.
is actually a good singer,
Yeah, he is.
which is funny because in Step Brothers they made it out to be like Will Ferrell is the good singer. Well, Will Ferrell is not a good singer.
How was that? You
What? You
literally.
didn't like when he's saying that?
You literally.
He's
took
not.
on the
He's
form of
very
an
not
angel.
a good
I
singer.
know, but it was pretty good for him trying though.
No, he drums. He's a drummer, dude. He
Yeah.
drums for the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Will Ferrell does?
Yeah,
Oh, nice.
I'm kidding. The guy they look alike though.
Oh, okay.
Like stunningly similar.
Well, I know that.
Does he believe that?
No.
Hey,
Will Ferrell.
I'm taking advantage
Will
of you.
Ferrell was on.
in your inebriated state.
Will Ferrell was on Jimmy Fallon though,
Yeah.
and did a drum off with Questlove. And actually, Will Ferrell can play the drums, so
Yeah.
I didn't think that was like an outrageous claim. Like he can,
Yeah.
he can.
They I like how they they
Like
did,
I don't think that he was actually a member of the Red Hot Chili
No.
Peppers.
Is
But
that-
like
that-
if
I
they
think
did
that's
like
what
a
it is,
if they
the-
did a tour and they happen to be in the same city as Will Ferrell, like I don't think it's outside of the
do you
realm to be
remem-
like.
Do you remember?
Well,
do you-
not that we need a drummer, but like, wouldn't it be cool if you came on stage and drummed with us for a little bit?
It's a good way to sell a show.
And yeah,
Featuring.
exactly.
Do you remember old G4 TV?
Yeah.
Th-
Used to watch X Play.
yeah, X
that was
Play
my
Attack of the
shit.
Show.
Attack the Show. That's where Olivia Munn
Hell yeah, dude.
became kind of a famous.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They had a episode with Kevin Pereira where it was right after Rock Band had come out, the original Rock
Uh-huh.
Band game, and he's like, he was talking about the creators said like you can literally learn to play drums by playing Rock Band. Like you can't learn how to play guitar or keyboard or any of that stuff, but like
I buy that.
but you can learn drums via Rock Band because it's all rhythm based, right?
Yeah.
And so they did a thing where they actually had Coheed and Cambria, and they let him play the Welcome Home on the drums with
Mm-hmm.
them on stage, and like he put the colored pads on each drum piece or whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, he played along. He
It
did
sounded
pretty
good.
good. Yeah.
That's how a friend of mine actually self-taught how to play drums. He would just play Rock Band
Yeah.
and then play with actual drums and try to
transfer
do
over.
it. And yeah,
I've always wanted to give drums a shot. but I don't have a place where I can do it.
Yeah,
And make that kind of noise.
It's kind of funny when we talk about sort of like economic class struggles
Yeah.
and things that are different. Certain things that we kind of don't even really consider, but like not only are drums really expensive to buy, same as a guitar for a lower income household.
Yeah.
Like a cheap guitar is still like $100.
Yeah, and now
You know,
go ahead and finish your point. I'll
but
bring something up on
but
that
like but drums especially
first act.
drums especially though, because if you don't really have like a big house or
Yeah.
somewhere like dedicated where you can put a drum set,
Yeah,
like your parents aren't going to let you
right.
get drums, nor are they
know.
going to be able to afford drums. So there's like, even in just breaking into art, there's like a price threshold.
There's a price threshold. Yeah, no, that is 100% true. And even for the lower income houses that like can do it, like there's a lot of things that like I tried to self-teach myself guitar years ago, which when I started playing, and I bought my first guitar. It was a Cort VX2V. It was a flying V guitar because I thought V guitars were so fucking cool. But I didn't like have anybody who told, like, if I would have asked somebody, they would have hopefully told me to avoid that guitar because it had what's called like a Floyd Rose. And unless you dish out money for a real one, like those setups are so hard to maintain because the cheap ones fall to pieces quick. And then even cheap guitars, you know, their build quality, a lot of people don't stick with it even if they want to because their equipment is just terrible.
Yeah.
Like I knew somebody with like a Squier Stratocaster, which is one of the better low-end guitars you can get, but I 100% could tell. I was like if you get one with like sharp frets, you know, it's cutting up your hand while you're playing.
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable. Like you would never stick with it.
Well, yeah, it's always something where it's like we romanticize the struggle of it, you know? Like it's a nice story to hear about like a poor kid who buys like some secondhand drums and like sets them up in his garage, and even though his parents and neighbors don't let him fucking play it, like he does it anyway.
Yeah.
But like in actuality, like
Moses did that, remember? My mom couldn't buy any instrument. He learned to play every instrument because the school would be like, well, you got something you can play because nobody wants to play like cello.
I
He's like, okay.
I actually do find
He
it.
wanted to play so bad. Now he can play like almost any instrument.
yeah.
We have some musical projects coming down the line from Sour Source, and we hope to someday bring some of that to light.
I was actually gonna put that on our like low level Patreons. I'd release all of my mixtape to whoever donates a certain amount to the Patreon.
Yeah, if
You
we
should do that with one of your scripts, right?
we should do custom.
I only have one of
diss
them
tracks.
left because my brother got in a fight with my stepdad a couple years ago and broke my laptop. And
how it always
all of my
goes.
scripts are on there. Only one of them is half written and on a website that saved it for me. So that's the only one left. I could finish it out, but even then, like, I don't want to give it out on Patreon.
One of the new toys I got is an Alesis MIDI controller keyboard, so we can actually make our own digital music.
Okay, for sure. I can't play any instruments. I used to play bass for a little bit.
Slap at the bass.
Slapping the bass, man. I slap in the bass, man. And I used to play we had a keyboard that I kind of like self-taught myself a few songs. But I'm definitely not like musically inclined. I did rap for a little while, and we made a few songs. I think I've showed you
showed
one
me
of them.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
I was into it.
Yeah.
It's more than songs than I've made.
Yeah. No, I have about
That's
six.
the point is you actually did it.
I have about 6 or 7 songs that are actually like recorded.
It's like I was
And I think they're actually like, I think they're pretty good, but of course, like I'm judging my own work,
Yeah.
so obviously I
was
think they're
talking
good.
to a
but
guy earlier today. We're talking about like music judging and stuff. And I was like, I used to be real elitist. Like, if it's not good music, I don't want to hear it. But then I was like, all these people though, they put in a lot of effort.
yeah,
And it's more than I've ever done, so I really can't be the one to judge. Because he was like, he was specifically getting into like why everybody hated Nickelback, and it's like, not that they were super duper great, but so many chart-topping songs. I mean, they did something right. you know?
yeah. Well, it's kind of like, sort of like black metal and death metal, like a lot of like screaming kind of music that it's not for me. You know what I'm saying? But I can definitely acknowledge that it's probably one of the hardest musics to play.
Yeah.
Just because it's so fast paced.
Yep.
and it's definitely probably takes a toll on your voice to
Yeah,
sing like that.
I would assume
So I can say that, like, while I don't like when I'm driving or something, I don't throw it on. I don't like it. Like, I don't enjoy it. But I'm not gonna like disparage it just because, like, yeah, these people are expressing themselves, and you know what? There's a market for everything out there. You know.
Oh, yeah. Like, you know,
And it's almost like things that are popular are usually almost always bad. So like.
it is true. But
so I don't. Yeah,
it was
I
kind
try
of
not
funny to
like,
me though, because like we
disparage.
were in this conversation, and you know, he's like, I like Nickelback. He's like, I like, so you know, even then Linkin Park went through it. Everybody's like, Linkin Park's like not good.
I still fucking stand hard for Linkin Park. I love Linkin
me
Park.
some Linkin Park.
I was
R.I.P.
in Los
Chester.
Angeles for the Meteor album release. I got an autograph from all of
Oh,
them.
that's cool.
Shook all of their hands.
Somebody
man.
stole my original Meteora disc. So I had to get
that was
another
that
one.
was kind of like the highlight of my like fucking 13-year-old existence.
Hell yeah, dude.
I shook the hand of everybody in fucking.
in my skin. That's hybrid theory. I don't
These
care.
words. But,
Actually, I really like Mike Shinoda's self-release too. But
No, Mike Shinoda out there repping it for all the half Asian brothers out there. Oh wait, we were gonna keep it a mystery what my nationality was for the longest. Have people like fucking
it's okay.
wonder
You
what
can
it
You
is.
can tell people you're half Burmese. It's fine.
I'm not Burmese.
No, we're gonna make a pool and then we're gonna make a betting.
Make
Yeah.
a betting game.
It's
Who,
a mystery.
who knows what I am? Which is funny because growing up in Southern California, everyone assumed that I was Mexican.
Uh-huh.
I remember one time
Nobody assumes I am.
I was, yeah, I was talking to my,
Sorry, go ahead.
Accuse you of being too white.
I know.
I was talking with my
I've
AP,
mastered the skills of the white perfectly.
my AP bio teacher, and he was like, you know, you're lucky. There's going to be a lot of good scholarships for a smart Latino kid like you. And I was like, I'm not Latino. And he's like, what are you, Iranian?
Whoa. He's just throwing darts at a world map.
It's like,
at
why are
this
those? Why are those your first two guesses, man?
Was he conservative?
I don't think so. He was kind of like a hippy dippy dude. He was a little older.
Hippity dippity.
He was a little older, but he was definitely kind of a guy who lived through like the '60s.
Oh, that's fair.
And he would bring his guitar in like a lot.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
I don't think he was conservative.
Dude,
I just think he was a liberal in his time for sure. Maybe a little bit conservative by today's standards.
Yeah.
I remember one time though, this student brought in a bunch of fucking special brownies and gave him one. And didn't tell him. And then he spent the whole class period playing guitar. He was like, hey guys, like fucking listen to this. And he was just fucking blitzed.
I'm gonna
dude.
show you some of the oral poetry by that man Bob Dylan.
Which is like, you know, of course
That,
it's wrong to drug people against their will.
Oh, he.
However,
ate it. He chose to eat it.
it was fucking hilarious.
That's been a thing for years. Like he knew what was in it.
I'm sure he did. I'm sure. Well,
He
no,
ate
I don't
the whole
think.
pan.
I don't think that he knew it at the time, but I definitely thought. I think that he, when he started feeling it,
Yeah.
probably
He
could
was
have
like,
fucking
"Damn."
extrapolated that he was under the influence.
Have you seen that unethical life pro tip where they're like, if you need quick money at a concert, just bring a plate of brownies. You don't have to put
Oh.
anything in them, but by the time you sell them and dip out, nobody will realize that.
Right? That's actually kind of brilliant. Funny story though. Man, when I look back at it, like we had some fucked up little kids. This one kid, she put Visine in the brownies
Oh,
and gave them to a fucking teacher. She got expelled when she got caught for that shit.
yeah, that's a big one. Poison
But
something.
another kid, she a teacher like left his classroom for a little bit, and he leaves his phone in like the top drawer. So while he was like out of the classroom, she like took it and like snapped pictures of herself like
Oh, damn.
shirtless, and then put it back, and then told the principal. And that guy got fired.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
We actually had a really cool teacher get fired for something like that. He's one of my favorites, but it wasn't like that. But he just made a joke at one of the students, and she got all offended.
Mhm.
And then they termed him because they're like, yeah, you can't be doing that. Which is, I guess,
It depends on what. I don't know what the joke was.
He told him. Hopefully this isn't too identifying, but he told she said something about something, and they were talking about going to college, right? Because we were seniors or juniors, or whatever, and she made a comment that she was like still a virgin or something like that, and then all he said was, "It's gonna be tough going to college still being a virgin." Yeah.
It is a weird thing to say to a student, though.
But but like knowing the guy, he was kind of an oddball too.
Yeah.
And a goofer. Like to goof off a lot.
I gotta take a piss.
Like real quick, because like we had to do a project where we had to bring like culture stuff from like other cultures, and I had like some music because I was doing Japan. Huge nerd back in the day. Shocker. And one of the tracks that was saved, I borrowed my friend's jump drive, but he had a bunch of the South Park movie tracks on there. So I was like, all right, play this one. And I showed him which one. And instead, I start my little presentation. And instead, he plays Shut Your Fucking Face, Uncle Fucker.
Oh.
And he started laughing. He's like, I know this wasn't the one I was supposed to play, but I seen it and I had to.
Oh, no. All right, try to keep some the dead air to a minimum.
I got this.
Wanna, like,
prepare for the next 25 minutes of RJ's beatbox special. I'm kidding. We guy just blew the mic load. So, what's up?
He's gonna be king all the time.
He's gonna drop. He's dropping a 30 pack.
Yeah. Oh my God. Isn't that the thing?
He's gonna, no, I mean yes, but no.
I guess if he keeps drinking,
Yeah,
right,
it's because it dehydrates. That's why you have to go pee so much. The myth of the seal. That's a myth. But yeah, but alcohol is immiscible with water. So when you drink, like your body's like pulling the alcohol out with water. That's why it dehydrates you so bad. Fun fact: I think hangovers are caused by a lack of B vitamins in your blood. That's why like Monster made the rehab with extra B vitamins or whatever, so you could chug one afterwards and be okay.
Yeah.
Relatively.
I think of every time I think of like people drinking and peeing at the same time.
What's that?
The Steve-O thing from Jackass, where Steve-O puts what is he?
The butt chug.
Yeah, he does the butt chug.
Or as Kavanaugh would like it to be known, boofing.
Can that really kill you?
Oh yeah, no, yeah, no, yeah. You'll die. You will die.
It's just one bottle.
It's
Is that
because
why they told him
it's because it's unfiltered. Like it doesn't pass through your system, so like you get the full effect.
Because it was just a beer, so it's only what, like 5%.
Yeah, it's because alcohol will pass through your cell lining. Like it'll enter your bloodstream like immediately.
When you talking about butt chugging?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there was a bunch of girls who died not too long ago because they were doing the whole tampon with vodka thing.
They're just putting that up their butt.
Yeah, I don't think you put it up your vagina.
It'll burn. I would assume.
I don't know where.
Yeah.
I don't know where they.
No,
put it.
I've heard of even guys doing like the tampon soak thing
Yeah.
because they just put it up your butt. Because it doesn't get processed by like
Yeah.
your digestive system when you do it that way. It goes like direct into your bloodstream, so like you get the full effect.
Have you seen those vape bars now that are like not vape like what you're doing over there on the side, but like they like atomize alcohol, so you just like inhale pure alcohol.
I've heard of that a few years back. I didn't know that was still popular.
I don't know if it was. I just remember seeing it a bunch and then not really knowing.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's still a thing. A bunch of people had just gotten sick recently, though, from vaping. I think like 12 people. I think it was like a couple hundred people got hospitalized. I think 3 people died, and I think like 10 people are in a coma or whatever.
Yeah. You think it's how conspiracal do you want to get?
You thinking it was like tobacco companies?
I was about to say, you think so? Because I heard that from a vape store owner that I know, well, not know, but I'm acquainted with, that Philip Morris bought like a big share into like vaping companies of some kind.
Yeah.
Like in order to push them harder, I guess. I don't know really.
Yeah,
know.
well, I mean, it's a good move because I think like nowadays less people are smoking than have ever smoked in like American history. So it's a good move to move into vaping. And I think Philip Morris, I think they owned like Blue. They've owned a few.
They've had like Mark 10.
Yeah, they've owned a few like vaping companies, which is a smart move. Like when the market changes, like pivot into like a new. Do I think that they're the ones doing this? No. A lot of these are the result of like aftermarket like purchases. They were buying like wax attachments from like drug dealers and not like from the stores or anything.
Not like reputable places.
Yeah, and that's what's been fucking people up.
Yeah, those people take that like there's like a whole like subculture of modding vapor things. Cause like one dude was showing me his, and I was like, "This is a fucking weapon."
Yeah, that's
like, you can KO somebody with this thing.
That's the thing is when you like aftermarket modifications.
Yeah.
And more of like the aftermarket, like actual substance that you're vaping. If it hasn't been like regulated at all,
give it any longer, and they're gonna be sticking V8s in them and running straight pipe.
I just saw
It'll take you to the moon.
I just saw a ad on Facebook for like vaping vitamin B. Have you seen that?
I have not.
Yeah, like
why would you?
There's like. Well, they say it gives you like a quick pick me up, but it's faster than digesting in a pill. Like when you inhale it, it's like immediate, and it was used. It's going to be used as like a stop like smoking, like
that just seems
a smoking
like,
cessation.
I get that
product.
That seems overtly dangerous because like 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 what if it like crystallizes in there? If it can, I don't know if it can or not.
I don't know.
My biochem's a little rusty. But
I'm not buying it, so. I very much enjoy the nicotine aspect of it.
Just go buy like a bottle of B10,000 and watch the world stop.
Isn't there like fake vapes right now?
Well, that's a big one. That's the big one because like that's what all them kids are doing because they're buying all them fake non-nicotine vapes because they're flavored like whatever.
Oh, like from South Park.
Yeah. It's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
I knew some 15-year-olds from family relatives and what have you that have hidden vapes and stuff, and I'm just like, really? What's wrong with you?
Yeah, no, I
color me conservative, but no,
I do it for the drugs.
Let me be clear.
I used to smoke cigarettes, and I still very much am addicted to nicotine. I make no illusions about that. But yeah, I definitely feel better. I recently bought like a pack of cigarettes just because money was a little tight, and I was like, this will get me till payday. And man, it felt like I had a headache the whole time, and I just constantly felt like tired and groggy. So like, I think like from an anecdotal standpoint, I can confidently say that like vaping is better for you than cigarettes.
Mm-hmm. I just like, I guess I don't understand cigarettes. I'm just like I've smoked one in my life, and like I was just like, who does this? Like you have to be dedicated. I wouldn't even say I smoked when I puffed one, and I was like, this is disgusting. Like how like you had to like this is like a hobby. Like you have to practice at this in order to stick with it. Like
yeah, it is very much. I think that's like a step every person goes through too. I mean, I'm sure there might be the very rare few that have never done it. I think that's like a step in growing up, and like I don't know, someone's always gonna offer it to you. Do you want to try a cigarette?
I was just like,
and then you just find out, it's not my thing.
Cigarettes are fantastic, especially when you've been
disgusting.
Yeah.
Cigarettes are like.
I was like, I'll stick to eating copious amounts of candy.
Anything that you're. See, cigarettes like. Actually, I was gonna say cigarettes. Cigarettes by themselves are not that great. No, cigarettes are fucking awesome.
I used to,
especially like when you're working really hard, like on your lunch breaks and your 15s, to have a cigarette.
I used
lovely.
to have a friend.
And then if you're doing other drugs, cigarettes just make them better. If you smoke like a bunch of weed and you're all out of weed now, you smoke a cigarette and you're just like, oof.
I used to have a friend
drinking.
I used to have a friend that used to roll their own cigarettes, right? Yeah. As many people do. And he used to like put like all kinds of like extra shit in them. Like he'd like roll them with like powdered sugar and all kinds of weird stuff, and I was like, that cannot be good
So
for you.
never heard of that. But
Yeah, he was a strange man. He ended up on meth.
but yeah, when you're drunk, cigarettes are a godsend. Or when you're on coke, cigarettes are fucking amazing. Cigarettes are fuck you.
You have a problem.
Smoke fucking like half a pack of cigarettes if you're on coke, man. Like, do a line and go have a cigarette. It's the classic. I honestly probably wouldn't have even liked coke as much were it not for cigarettes.
So it's really so then they are right. Cigarettes are the cause of all of our moral problems. Keep them off the advertising.
I don't think that's a moral
Yeah.
quandary. I think you want to do some coke, like do some coke. Honestly, coke is probably less dangerous than alcohol. At least it probably socially to other people,
Yeah.
it's probably less dangerous because you can drive better if you're coked out.
I think that's anecdotal.
Because it's more available.
Yeah, exactly. Like
That doesn't mean it's better. Just
no,
Self-driving cars will
coke is less. Coke is
Here's
less. Like, what's the word I'm looking for? Mentally, kind of changing. There's a word I'm looking for. Coke is a less like intoxicating drug than even like weed. Like, I think you could drive better on coke than you could if you were
Here's a
stoned.
fun philosophical question for you.
Okay.
I don't think we've done this on stream yet, but do you think people will still get DUIs when self-driving cars are everywhere? Like when a self-driving car is able to take you home, do you think the police will still hand out DUIs for that?
No. Why would they?
I think they would. Like, will the laws change to accommodate that, or will they keep it the same? Like,
If you're not driving yourself, then you can't get a DUI if your passenger is drunk. Your car is essentially the one driving, right?
theoretically, but you're in the driver's seat.
See,
Like
that's
a lot of them won't let, like the Teslas won't let you drive if you're not in the seat.
yeah.
You have to have
So-
your hand on the wheel. So like, that's rudimentary tech.
I think it's going to
Kinds of
depend
weird,
on
yeah.
how high the quality of the self-driving is, right?
Yeah.
Like if it's fully self-driving, then there'd be no basis to give you a DUI.
Like you would be able to challenge it because it's like there have been cases where people have gotten DUIs just for like, let's say it's like the dead of winter, and some places have the keys in the ignition law or a keys in hand law. If you're in the car with keys in hand, or
Yeah.
you get a DUI, where they've had their convictions tossed or their charges dropped because it's like I had to start my car to survive.
Yeah.
So like, I think they would. I think places will tweak it, and they'll be like, if you're drunk in the driver's seat, now it's a DUI, even if the car's driving you.
I think that
it'll
would
happen.
definitely depend on how advanced the self-driving technology is, and also whether or not we are going to continue policing in the same fashion that we do now in the future. Because right now, I disagree with the police as just an institution. I don't think that they are conducive to human society. Like they serve a couple of essential functions, but by and large are not are an archaic institution that doesn't need to exist anymore. If police were really concerned with protecting and serving, then they wouldn't hide to try to catch people who are speeding. You know what I'm saying?
Right. See, I
Like,
think it's more like
It's definitely they're trying to make money.
yeah, it's a money grab for the system. I think it's more like, to me, like you stick these people. Most of them aren't really that trained for that long. Maybe
No,
like
not
a
at all.
6-week course,
Not enough.
if that.
Yeah.
It's not like other places where like you have to have like a master's degree in criminology in order to become a police officer.
That's because you also don't really pay police officers all that
Yeah, that's
much.
true.
But it's like
What's the
40% of cops are domestic abusers,
yes.
reported domestic abusers, which is already an astounding.
Yeah. The rate of child abuse is extraordinarily
yeah.
high amongst them too.
Which is funny because a lot of domestic violence doesn't get reported.
Yeah.
So the fact that 40% of them
Yeah.
are reported for being domestic abusers is shocking enough. I think that there's a certain type of individual who is attracted to that kind of job.
Yeah. See, I think like
of having like dominion over your fellow
but I
man.
think the bigger thing too to me was always like we stick them in this role where they have no choice but to do what they have to do to protect themselves and their departments, you know, which is whatever. I won't get into that. But then we also have the people who have to basically know everything they're supposed to know better than they know it in order to escape personal harm or injury.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, even if you know your rights and the law,
Yeah.
like a cop could still fucking kill you.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Here's one that I always thought was interesting. That way we don't get too deep into the subject. We're trying to keep it chill this week, I think. But I've always told people, I said, you know, prosecutors can bring charges against you for, you know, anytime.
Yeah.
And based on the way it works, I was like, what's to stop somebody if they really don't like you for whatever reason of putting you in jail with a phony charge? They get the judge in on it. They set a bad bail. You can't make it. And then they just kind of lock you away. Don't give you a speedy trial. And you're just kind of like there.
no, there's nothing.
Yeah.
People
People don't realize that. And I was like, you got to be kind of aware of that stuff.
Yeah, the speedy trial is not even all that upheld. So I was in jail for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I've ever told you that.
Yeah, you were telling. I think you talked
Did,
about it on stream once
Did 2 weeks in county.
on show.
So while I was there, of course I had like the lightest sentence of anybody, so I was going to be out in a week. But I got to meet a lot of people who were in different precarious situations, and some of them hadn't even been tried for like I think 6 months. And I think that they may have voluntarily waived their right for a speedy trial without knowing it.
Yeah.
But they were in jail for 6 months before even
Yeah, before you
being
have the first appearance.
being sentenced guilty.
Oh yeah.
So they're just hanging
No,
out
they
in
say,
jail.
like,
But the thing is that it's not just like you're just in jail, dude. Like, think about your rent. Think about your job. Like those things that are not going to be available to you even after you're found innocent.
Mm-hmm.
So you're like, you're innocent, but now I have nowhere to live and
now
no
you're
job.
homeless. Yeah, exactly. No, then the other thing too is like your own self testimony is 9 times out of 10 the first piece of evidence they use. Because I had a buddy who I won't get too detailed into what he got accused of, but long story short, the only real thing they had on him was like he sarcastically said like, "Yeah, I did it," and then like immediately after he's like, "No, I mean I didn't. I'm just mad right now."
Yeah,
and
but that's
then,
not a.
But that's what they used, and
that's-
since most juries,
Well, that's the thing. When you read it out,
yeah,
there's no way to infer whether it was
it's
sarcastic
like a text
or not.
message. You can't tell. Like, you ever get that when somebody sends you a text? You're like, I can't tell if you're being pissy with me or.
Yeah,
I
no, it
hate
happens.
that. Maybe that's why the president's tweets are so inflammatory.
It turns out he's just been a comedian this whole time. He's just been fucking around.
He's a legitimate cuckoo clock.
No,
as we have found.
absolutely.
But no, we won't. We're not getting into that today. It's easy to do, but we're avoiding it on purpose. We're taking the difficult path tonight.
But yeah, our criminal justice system definitely needs reformation.
Needs some good reforms,
certainly.
for sure.
It's a complete pay to play system.
Pay to win. Freemium.
Yeah.
Free to lose, pay to win.
If you have enough money, you could not spend any time in jail at all.
Yeah.
If you really you posted bail, you hired a good legal team. You can never spend any time in jail at all. But if you're somebody who's like innocent but just poor, like you could spend fucking 6 months in jail.
You have no time. Your attorney general might withhold evidence that might keep you in the.
A little Kamala Harris dig, huh?
Yeah, well, I was going to say her name.
I think on one of the streams I should tell the story about how I ended up in jail because I think it's pretty funny.
I think you did already, didn't you? Or maybe you were just telling us in passing. I don't remember.
I might have just told y'all in passing. I don't think I've gone into detail of like what happened. It was pretty dumb. And my court case was an hour outside of where I lived. I got arrested in another city. because I was staying with a friend of mine because it was Halloween and we were going out partying.
Yeah.
So I showed up to one of the hearings, and my public defender literally told me, she was like just say like no contest. Like, it don't make my job harder than it needs to be.
Oh yeah, no.
And I was like, shit, like I'm not super confident anymore. Because all that had happened was they were trying to arrest my friend, and I was trying to talk him out of it, and they ended up arresting me for a delay of a peace officer, which was going to be a 3-year probation charge. But I instead took 2 weeks in county rather than do 3 years of probation.
That's fair, because like you don't want to like run into a situation where like you like get caught speeding or something.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, you're on probation. You ain't supposed to be speeding right now. And then they pull you out and baton you or something.
Yeah. So, but it's a funny story that leads up to the whole
It's pretty
situation.
No, that no contest thing though. That a lot of people like think like that's the better option than pleading guilty.
Well, even if I did, like, the trial would have been requiring me, and on my way to my first hearing, my car broke down.
Of course. What you know.
So this would have been something that would have required me to take a 4-hour bus ride every day that my trial went on. So it was just something where it was like, I just can't. I'll just do the 2 weeks, man. You know, like that's fine. But yeah, it was a funny story because I got arrested another separate time for skateboarding at my college. I was on my way home from class, and I hopped on my skateboard in the parking lot and started skateboarding home. I wasn't like on campus, but I had some headphones in, so I wasn't really listening. And apparently a cop had been telling me to like stop. So he finally like caught up to me, like, because he was screaming, and I heard him, and I took out my headphones. It's like what's going on? He's like, get off the board, get on the ground,
Get off the board.
get on the ground. And I get on the ground, and he's like calling for backup. I was like, oh shit, like this is a lot more serious than I thought. And ended up going to fucking jail for the night.
Wow.
Because he arrested me for
Fleeing arrest.
for fleeing.
Yeah, I already
When
knew it was coming.
I wasn't. So I spend the fucking night in jail, right? And then I get my papers the next morning. I get released. Get my papers when to show up for actual trial. I show up. They say show up at 8:00, but the courthouse is an hour away if you're driving. It's about 3 hours away if you're taking the bus. So I have to get up at 5 a.m, take the bus 3 hours to get there. And then first day he goes like, what are you gonna plea? And I was like, well, like, not guilty. I wasn't running away. I was just skateboarding home, dude. So he's like, okay. Takes him till noon to get to my case. And they go, what do you plea? And they're like, not guilty. And I was like, okay, well, come back in a week. So, all right, fair enough. Come back in a week. My lawyer has a baby and isn't there. So they don't tell me this on the phone. I show up. I wake up at 5 o'clock, take a 3-hour bus ride to the courthouse, wait till my fucking lawyer shows back up, or I go there. My lawyer never shows up. Wait till they call my case. And then somebody informs the judge that my lawyer had a baby and wasn't available. So he says, okay, we'll pick this case up again next week.
That's when you say, I want to file a motion to dismiss.
So I go back home, come back the next week.
God damn.
Same situation. Now my lawyer's here, and he's like, okay, so we're gonna now submit your plea. And I'm like, what? I thought we did that week 1. He's like, no, week 1 was just informing the judge what you were going to do. Now we're actually going to plea not guilty. So I'm like, oh, okay, I guess. Wait till noon. Judge comes up, like, my case finally gets called, and he says, we're going to plea not guilty. So, okay, we'll meet again in a week.
God damn.
So I come back in a week, same situation,
Extend
waking up
that
at 5,
shit.
take the bus.
Yeah.
If I can get there, takes him till noon to get to my case, and he goes, this cop has a history of making these faulty arrests. Case dismissed. And I'm like,
Damn.
it's about a month
Yeah.
of
Every 6 hour
Of
bus
trial.
rides.
of 6 hours of bus rides.
Damn.
And
That's cold blooded.
and it's like, I feel like this all could have been done over the phone.
Via email. I could have sent a carrier pigeon faster than this.
But it's funny though, because at the time I was working, I think part-time at Walgreens, and I had to explain to my boss, like, hey, I'm in the middle of an ongoing court case. Can I have Mondays off for the next month? You know, and it's just kind of
Precedent
like,
setting.
yeah, it's just kind of like something you don't want to talk with your boss about. Like, hey, I might be a criminal.
Yeah.
You know.
That's when every time that somebody asks you, what did you do? You tell them something different. That way nobody knows.
But yeah, that was the whole speedy trial thing. It's not real.
No, it's not. You know, they say, like, if you invoke your right to speedy trial, they have 90 days to, like, get you in. Like, that's the legal limit to a speedy trial is 90 days.
Yeah, which if it's 90 days of you being in jail
Yeah.
waiting for your trial, well, that's fucking life changing.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you will lose your job, you will lose your house.
But then, so, like, this is on a side note, like on the other side, I guess. What about those guys who, like, end up in jail for like a year, but it turns out their bail was only like $20?
I don't think it's ever been a situation, right?
There's been a few.
Bail is always
I don't know if
pretty-
they're just clickbaity, but there's been like a pretty
So bail is always like super high, because when you do like a bail bond, you end up only paying like 10% of it.
right.
So like bail being set at like 20,000, because bail is not you paying the court. You give them money as like a promise that you will
Come
return
back.
to trial, and you get that money back after the
Right.
trial. But a lot of people don't have $20,000 on hand to
Uh-huh.
put up. So what they do is hire bail bonds who do it 10%, but they keep that money. So you pay them
So they make-
$2,000 to front you $20,000.
Yeah.
When you show up to trial, they get $20,000 back, made $2,000 off of you. I've never heard of bail being less than like $1,000.
No, most yeah, most of the time they set it super high so that, like, to me it always was like they put the pressure on you, like, we're gonna set it so high that you feel like you have to take your plea, like you're not getting out of here.
Yeah, and I buy that too. It's weird the psychological games that they play with you. So I remember going back to the night that Halloween night where I got arrested for delaying a peace officer. I get to jail and they're like, "We're just gonna hold you here till you sober up." I was like, "I'm already." I got tased a couple times. I'm pretty sober. But they're like, "Yeah, we'll release you as soon as you're sober." I get there, I think 5 or 6 in the morning. I'm there until noon the next day.
Damn.
Yeah.
Must have been drinking some hard liquor.
I was not that drunk. But what they would do is every 2 hours, we were in the holding tanks. Every 2 hours, this big heavy door would open up. They would call the name of somebody who wasn't there and then close the door. And it was almost like, I think that you guys have the paperwork. You know who's in this room and who
At
isn't.
least you would assume.
Like, I think that this is just like a mind game. Like, this is just something that you're doing. They open the door, like, you get a little bit of hope, like,
What
hey,
is,
maybe I'm gonna get called. And they go, Anderson, and then they close the door, and it's like, he's not here.
Then they open it back up and they're like, Aronson?
Yeah.
Aronson.
No,
And
they
then go
they
back.
call somebody who's
And
not.
then they're like, open it again. They're Adamson. They're just going.
It was
They're just
funny.
going through the phone book. They started
no,
at
it
A
was-
and they're working their way through.
Yeah, but it was crazy though, because like
What's that?
this was Halloween, so like
This brings up a movie I want to bring up, but go ahead.
I was in a Luigi costume.
Well, that was your
and
mistake.
then,
If you'd have been Mario, they would have let you out.
One of the guys we were hanging out with in the cell was dressed as Carlton from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and he was just he was like pissed. He was like, fuck, of course I would get arrested dressed like goddamn Carlton in jail.
Best mug shot ever.
Yeah, it was a weird night because we were all just hanging out, and all of us like had gotten arrested on Halloween. Obviously, we were all having like a good night until whatever occurred to get us arrested.
Until that time. What is that movie, Molly, talking about mind games where they strap like the 9 people to the chairs in like the warehouse, and he keeps messing with them until they get them to like admit something they did or something like that. You know, remember what I'm talking about?
Is it the test one where they're like with the paper?
No, it's not that one. That's a good movie though. I know we watched it because you made me watch it, but it was like it was kind of like weirdly like Saw inspired. Like,
oh, is it where they're standing and it turns out they all know each other?
yeah, in some form or way. There's like 9 of them. They're all chained.
They all cheated each other.
Yeah,
like, it
and
was like a step into something.
and he would come in like all black with a ski mask and like,
but he never actually.
yeah, but yeah, exactly.
He just released them as soon as they admitted it.
Yeah, did they kill each other though? I don't
think
remember. Spoiler alert.
The last.
To the nameless movie that I can't think of.
It's like the last
Oh, that one.
It's between the last 3 of them because they're like they won't admit it to the last one, and it turns out, I guess, spoiler, if you know what we're talking about.
Yeah, 'cause I don't even
It
know.
was an inside job
Yeah.
because it was a girl, she wanted revenge on something, but she
You remember,
wanted to admit it.
You remember that old Sunco commercial? You know, it's that movie where this thing happened, and it's like, and then the other person's like, yeah, totally, and then this happened, and then they're like doing like the things.
No, I don't know.
You don't remember that commercial?
Not in the slightest.
It was all over the cable out here back in the day for a store that has no open stores of that chain in this state, but whatever. There's another movie though, kind of like that, talking mind games. Have you ever seen The Test?
No.
That's a good one.
The Test.
I thought it was pretty good. They put this but the plot is there's this health company, pharmaceutical company that develops like a miracle drug basically, and the CEO doesn't want to run it anymore, so he gets 9 people or 7 or 8, and puts them in a room with like it's got one simple. Is it one question and they have to figure out the answer, or does he give the answer and you have to figure out the question?
I think it's one piece of paper. They can't mess up either. It's one piece of paper with one question, and they can't ruin it either because that's it.
Okay. Yeah, your paper gets destroyed, and then there's like they have to go. They go through all these like tasks and stuff. And anywho, it's a good movie. I liked it. Psychological movie.
Okay. Have you heard of The Experiment?
The Experiment sounds familiar.
I think Forrest Whitaker and Adrian Brody are in it.
Okay.
It's based on like the Stanford prison experiments about
okay.
the guards and
Yeah.
that's a pretty good one too. If you get a chance,
I'd
check it out.
I think
like
a movie reviews.
I fucking would love to. That's all I ever wanted to do.
I would love to do it because
I got strong armed into doing a political show. When in actuality, I want to do movie reviews, and that's all I've ever wanted to do.
I want
I
I want to write that show. No, it'll be the perfect folly to you because I love everything that you hate. Probably.
Yeah, probably. Probably.
It'll be perfect.
Yeah, I don't know.
It'll be fun. We can do whatever. It's an open platform.
I have a couple of buddies. One I met in film school, and one I had met in the California Conservation Corps. Both of them are big movie buffs that we'd spend hours talking about movies. And I've always wanted to get the two of them together with me to actually make like a movie review show.
Yeah.
But they both live in California, so I don't know if I could do like a call-in show like on Skype or something. I've been thinking about doing something like that maybe at some point.
Wouldn't hurt.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
I
think
you're good to call it.
I think we can wrap her up here.
All right. Anyone in the chat? Looks like we got something.
Anywho,
All
so
right.
yeah, we got now that we've really kind of found our real footing, minus all the minor hiccups and what have you.
Huh? What?
Check us out on, obviously we're on Twitch when we do these shows, and we also stream games sometimes co-op. All this stuff goes up on YouTube after the fact, and we'll have some additional gaming related and other content that we'll be putting up there as as it gets finished and released. Sour Source is kind of like just an open project that we're all just kind of working and pitching in on. So, check us out on all the major podcast platforms. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Give us a follow if you haven't. Subscribe to the
Make sure you hit that subscribe button.
Yeah, subscribe to the
that
podcast
notification
version of this. We release all the audio via podcast. Any subscription and plays from anything really helps us out a lot as we try to grow this. And, and other than that, you guys have a very good night.
Good night, guys. I'm going to continue drinking.